Hey guys, I wanted to talk about last week's episode. I think it was episode 6. It showed everybody kind of holed up during a pretty bad storm. And it was a pretty bad storm out there. The wind was insane. Of course, we had no idea or any way of knowing how fast the wind actually was, but I actually had trees blow down in front of my shelter. If you watch the preview or the opening clip of the show, it actually shows the side of my shelter and a tree coming down in front of it. That's how bad that storm actually was. It was pretty rough. There were whitecaps on the lake. It washed out everything that was on the shore. It actually washed out my little fire pit that I had out there on the shore, and so on and so forth. I didn't lose everything, just the fire pit. I'm not an idiot. I made sure I put everything else a little higher ground. But during that storm, there was a lot of downtime. And during downtime, you can either get stuck in your head or you can keep your hands moving. Now me, as long as I can keep my hands moving, I'm okay. I have to be doing something. I'm a fidgeter, I guess is what you would call it. My hands have to be working at something. It doesn't matter what it is. If I'm turning pages in a book, if I'm carving a spoon, if I'm working on my lathe, if I'm out here, doing something, my hands have to be doing something at all times. It's annoying, really. But that being what it is, a lot of creative stuff comes from it. I've got a few things here. We'll go straight to the piece de la resistance, or whatever you want to call it. This was my letter that I wrote to Hazel. And I don't remember if they said everything, but I don't think they had the day on it. It says, "Dear Hazel, day 27. I am writing this on a piece of birch bark with a pen and ink that I made from a feather and some charcoal and water on a rainy, windy day, laying here thinking of home and missing y'all so bad. If this works, I will write more letters. Love always, Mikey." Give you one more shot of the letter here. And it really is. You look for everything you can out there to try to bring you a little closer to home. And for me, it was this. I was finally able to not really speak to someone, but be able to write a letter to my wife. And it wouldn't matter if it was your wife, your husband, any loved one. Just being able to, it's such a psychological thing out there. You really do think of, how can I speak with them? God, I wish I could talk to them. I wish I was there with them. I can't be there with them. I have to be here. I really wish I could just say, "Hey, how's your day?" It really weighs on your mind. So for me, this was a turning point. This actually helped me mentally a lot, being able to just write a letter, knowing that eventually, Hazel would receive this letter, and I could tell her what happened on this day, day 27, which is it was just like I say, it was a major thing for me mentally. And sorry, I'm remembering it. But anyways, I think it's really awesome that they showed this letter. As far as I know, the first letter ever written on a loan, especially like this. I've never seen anybody craft a pen and ink and paper, So I think that's I think that's something really awesome. Which brings me to my next little thing is we'll go to the pin. They showed this pin. It used to be a lot wider than that. That's actually smoke residue from where it sat up on my shelf above my head in my shelter. But this is a quill tip pin that I made. And you can actually see where the feather has been rubbed off by my hand, where it sits right there, you see. Crazy, ain't it? But I made this by coiling snare wire around it to give me a grip, you know, something that isn't going to fold up, because the feather would just fold. And I actually took a piece of snare wire, I coiled this down, and I took a piece of snare wire and shoved it into the tip of it and folded the feather over a little bit. And so I cut the end of it off, shoved some snare wire in it, folded it over, and wrapped snare wire around it. So it actually has a point right there. And the coil would help hold the ink that I made. I don't have my inkwell anymore. It was broken glass. I really didn't want to risk it cutting up anything, so I don't have my inkwell anymore. But it was the bottom of a square bottle that I found, and I took charcoal from my fire and put it in it and crushed it up with a little stick that I made that it kind of looked like a pencil, but that was not what it was used for. I don't even remember what that stick was used for. I have no idea. It may have been specifically made to crush charcoal. There's no telling with me. But anyways, I crushed it up real fine. I added a little bit of water and I stirred it up real good. That actually made a pretty decent ink. And whenever I would dip this in, the ink would catch right there on the tip of the feather where that's coiled up, and it would bleed right here. So as you're writing, it would drain down to the tip and it would write the letters. Now, that being said, this is not an ink pen. This is, when you look at ink pens, this is very primitive. If I would have made a charcoal stick, it would have been easier, but it wouldn't have been as cool. I had to dip every time I wrote a letter. This says Dear Hazel. That means that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times I dipped this to write Dear Hazel. So it was each individual letter that made each word that you had to dip. You dip it, make the D, you're out of ink. You dip it, write an E, you're out of ink. You dip it, A, you're out of ink. So on and so forth for the duration of the letter. But gave me something to do. Kept me out of my head. Gave me something to do. And speaking of something to do, everybody likes playing games, you know. I actually made dice. And these are really cool because, and I know you couldn't see it in the video, or in the actual footage. I know you couldn't see it because it was, you know, all black and white, whatever, infrared. But I actually colored these with cranberry juice. They are pink. They're pink dice. And I used the same pen and charcoal to blacken out each dot. That I carved it with an awl, and I'd take the pen and dip some charcoal in it to darken it up so that you could see each dot on the die. And these things roll. These are good ones. They're super lightweight, but I actually made these for my son so that, you know, he could play with them when I got home. He likes dice. He likes just tossing them around or whatever, but so a little fidget toy for him, you know, and he likes those. But I actually made these for him while I was out there as a gift to him. But you know, you're not going to have dice and be sitting there not doing anything and not play dice. You know, I actually thought about carving a chess set, and I didn't. I didn't carve a chess set. I wish I would have now, and I'm probably going to have to challenge Taz to a game of chess. It's one of my favorite games. He did an amazing job on his chess set. That is absolutely, that's crazy. I have hand carved a chess set before, and it's not something to take lightly. No, these were pretty detailed pieces, but it's not something to take lightly. He did an amazing job on it, you know. So kudos, Taz. You one-upped me, but I like it. I like it a lot. But my son really has enjoyed these dice. He plays with them from time to time. Of course, I let him have them as soon as I got home, you know, and so he really enjoys them, and it's something that now when he gets older he can have them and say, look, you know, Daddy was on a loan and he did this. I hope so, anyways. Well, guys, as promised, as they show some of the things that I've crafted and some of the things that I think is pretty cool, I'll bring you guys out here and I'll kind of walk over them a little bit and give you, you know, little stories behind it, why I did it, when I did it, and how I did it. And you know, hopefully they'll show a couple more things, hopefully next episode, and I'll come out here and I'll do this again. It's been real fun, and if you guys want to see that, please, you know, think about subscribing, and definitely catch some more things later, not just about this, you know, survival techniques and so on and so forth, but you definitely don't want to miss anything. So hit subscribe, check out the next videos, check out some of the older videos. There's definitely some more coming up, and we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks, guys. I actually took a stick and carved this thing square, and then took my saw and sawed each one of them off. Oh, another real quick thing before you go. Another real quick thing. Fun fact about dice. Each die, on each side of the die, this face and the reverse face of it makes 7 on every one of them. So you got 6 and 1. If you flip it over, you have 3 and 4. Every one of them makes 7. Just a fun fact. Catch you next time.